Patriot.
Hey, this is Skylar.
My name's the Devil's Rejects.
I'm the big-time wrestling heavyweight champion, Flex Armstrong.
I'm the connected
Here.
Rusev Day every day?
It's Rusev Day every day.
Exactly.
And you're watching the Wrestling Connection.
You're watching Wrestling Connection.
And watch the Wrestling Connection.
You're watching the Wrestling Connection.
I hear that women gain immortality from licking the feet of babies.
What? Say,
Be connected, get connected, and stay connected, brothers.
Allison.
hello, Allison, and welcome to the
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
Let's get the big, of course, with the official presentation. Thank you.
Get connected, be evil, or die.
Moving on.
Be connected, get connected, stay connected.
And welcome to episode, there we go, 278 of the most award-winning must-see talk show to ever hit Bedford airwaves, or any airwaves for that matter. North, south, east, west, backwards, frontwards, diagonal, sideways, whichever way you want to look at it, brought to you all around the world, the Wrestling Connection. And I am your host, the consumer of wrestling knowledge, the prize fighter of the Wrestling Connection, the literal breaker of Kens, Dan Kaufman, here to deliver all the news you need to know. And since we have taken a week, as I said we would, there's a lot to talk about. So much I actually didn't even grab photos for all of them. For example, the current rumors about Enzo and Cass. That I'm bringing that up now. Get that out of the way. But first off, thank you for tuning in. It's always nice. I'm happy. I'm here. And wrestling is interesting as usual. Now then, Enzo and Cass. Apparently they're throwing around rumors that maybe they've been talked to come back to NXT. WWE said no. And I agree with WWE 100%. They can say whatever they want. The fact of the matter is that Cass royally screwed up. Enzo, while he was let go because of an accusation that turned out to be false, does not change the fact that after the fact, he tried to crash Survivor Series. He literally tried to mess with the company. I don't see coming back from that. It would seem like a bad move. And it's just how it is. So, Enzo and Cass coming back to WWE? No. But, moving on from that, the biggest news, especially with All Out coming up very soon, would be a one Jon Moxley. Now, this sucks. You know, it sucks so much. I am going to bring up this, because you don't see this often. This is the downer for Hill's highs and Dan's downers. Ta-da! Been a while, huh? All right, Mr. Moxley. So he had a planned match with Kenny Omega, who he beat up quite a bit during his debut at Double or Nothing. So he set up the match that he was going to have with Omega. And then during Fyter Fest, while he had a match with Joey Janela, Kenny Omega tried to attack him again, hurt him, but Moxley didn't seem too perturbed about it. And then this match comes up, and unfortunately, Jon Moxley has been diagnosed with MRSA in his elbow and is forced to sit out on All Out, the final pay-per-view before AEW will go live in October. That sucks. It really does. This is, as good a match as what Joey Janela was, it wasn't the match that people were looking forward to the most. This one was. And this is the biggest match name on that card. I'm sorry to all the other ones there. That's what it is. And the fact that he had to pull out because of MRSA. It really does hit a little too close, with them coming up on their TV deal. So now Kenny Omega needs a new opponent. And who do you think they got? This will excite some of you, Allison especially. Hi, Pac. That is right. Jon Moxley's replacement for All Out is Pac. Pac versus Kenny Omega. Now, this is very interesting because this is also Pac's first match with AEW since he pulled out of his supposed match against Adam Page. Now, this happened while he was the heavyweight champion, the Open the Dream Gate champion at Dragon's Gate. So he made it abundantly clear that he did not want to lose while he was still champion of Dragon Gate. He did not want to make that industry look weak in comparison to whoever he lost to. And because of that, which clearly Adam Page was supposed to win, because otherwise this wouldn't have mattered, Pac pulled out of his match. Instead, they had a match at an indie event like a week or two before. So, now, situation's changed. Pac is no longer the Open the Dream Gate champion at Dragon's Gate, which means that Pac can now go full-fledged into AEW. And the fact that they brought him back means that there was no real ill will or animosity towards him for doing that. Which means Pac can work with AEW just fine, which is going to make a lot of people happy. Pac was one of the big names when AEW was announced. Outside of the Elite, Pac was one of the first names that came up, which really got people excited. So the fact that he's not only back, but his first match back is with Kenny friggin' Omega? Yes. This is actually an okay replacement for losing Jon Moxley. And hopefully Jon will get that surgery real quick and he'll be up and ready to go. Because no one wants to see Jon Moxley gone. So here's your high to that downer. Now, speaking of AEW, we were just talking about the fact that their TV deal is coming up in October. We got to talk about WWE's countermeasures. There didn't need to be, but there it is. So why do I show these four members? Matt Riddle, Adam Cole, Shayna Baszler, and Velveteen Dream. Well, NXT is going to the USA Network. That is right. NXT, the developmental brand, the third brand, the one that people keep saying is the best that WWE really puts out, especially because it's on the network, therefore doesn't really filter into Vince McMahon's plans. Therefore, creative control solely goes to Triple H and his team. Is now going to be going to WWE. It's going to the USA Network off of WWE Network, and it will be going to 2 hours. And it starts in September, a month before AEW. Therefore, giving them a month to build up a new fan base on TV. Now, the good and bad, because there is good and there is bad. 2 hours thing, I don't think that's an issue. Everyone already knows about the fact that that NXT has a really deep roster that we don't get to see that often. Because anytime they're doing their shows, they have to have their core group. They have to have all the champions. They need to get time to develop them. You got your NXT champion. You got your NXT US champ, United States, North American champion. My apologies. You have your women's champion, and you have your tag team championship. Now, all of them need proper time to develop. They don't always get to go on every episode, but there's always something there, which means that there's always a core group of guys up there, whether it's Adam Cole or Johnny Gargano or Tommaso Ciampa, for the NXT championship. Of course, I mentioned Ciampa, though he's out with injury. You always have Shayna Baszler or what's her name? Well, now Rhea Ripley, which is awesome. Io Shirai. Io Shirai or Bianca Belair or Mia Yim. Those core group for the NXT Women's Championship, which is a good roster. Then you have Velveteen Dream, who's taking on tons of people. Matt Riddle, he's already taken on Tyler Breeze. There it is. He can take on pretty much anybody, anyone who has some momentum. So, and then got the tag team champions. I do believe it is back to Undisputed Era, who won it from Street Profits, who are now officially up on the main roster. So you can have, once again, the Undisputed Era fending off the belts against Oni Lorcan and Danny Burch. You could have them facing off against the Forgotten Sons. You could have them face off against the returning Breezango, who are now back, which are really cool. If they really want to, since they're not doing anything, they can bring off as a pain down. There's a lot of really good teams, and they're all correlated, which is good. But then you have guys who don't have, a presence yet. They've shown little bits, but there's still more room for them. So, guys like Keith Lee, guys like Dominik Dijakovic, that name. Really good guys who need more time to shine, don't have enough time for it. Now they have their chance. You could stretch out a little bit more. Just a little. Not enough to overbloat it. But that means matches have longer time to really get a feel for the guys, for the characters. So, 2 hours is not a big deal. 2 hours is not a big deal. They could do it. The concern that because it's on TV means Vince McMahon will have a bigger hand in NXT is a concern. Because let's not kid ourselves here. Anytime Vince McMahon decides to put his hands on something, he'll have maybe a moment of greatness here or there, but everything else gets just bogged down into this rut. And NXT has been continuously good, very good, incredible. I fear that Vince feels that it'll be better with his touch. I could be wrong. I could be pessimistic because anytime I hear Vince McMahon wants control, it turns out pretty bad. It could just be my imagination. I'm not even bringing up the fact they didn't need to take it off of the network. That they're doing it just so they could have it on the same night as AEW, so they have a way to take viewers away. I agree with AEW, by the way. They didn't need to do it. This is a petty move and an ill-sighted one because AEW, while it will, it didn't have competition, therefore it wasn't taking viewers away from them. WWE literally made competition to have with them when AEW had none at that moment. There was nothing there on Wednesdays. NXT was on the WWE Network, which means you could watch it at any time after it aired. You could watch it Thursday morning. You could watch it right after AEW if you still wanted more wrestling. they wouldn't have lost anything. It was petty. Not surprised. All right. Moving on. Because I got a few more things to get through. Now for some really highs. Starting with marriage. Marriage brings people together. Becky and Seth. Congrats. Now, it's been more than obvious the fact that these two have been dating. Case in point, the whole your women's champion Becky Lynch and your Universal Champion Becky Lynch's boyfriend. You know, they had their mixed tag match against Lacey Evans and Baron Corbin, which was very good and had one. And for first time in a long time, Becky Lynch got the end of days, which shocked the hell out of me. But, moving forward, it was announced on Twitter. These two are now engaged. So congratulations to these two. I really hope that nothing gets in the way of it. Because, again, I'm an eternal pessimist. You know, this scares me like the John Cena, Nikki Bella wet marriage thing, which, you know, was more of a publicity stunt than anything, and in the end they couldn't follow through with it. I hope the two of them aren't doing this because the fact they're at the top of the brand and this will help keep them there. I hope them being at the top of the brand won't put any difficulty on their relationship. I hope everything goes for the best because these guys are awesome. I'm not going to lie. These two are amazing. I really love these guys. Seth has put on great match after great match. He will do anything he can in order to make it great. I was going to start ragging on his promo skills that he sometimes has, but honestly, I blame that more on the booking than anything. You know, the scripts. And Becky Lynch has redesigned herself and is now the force to be reckoned with. She is the current cover of WWE's next 2K game, which is great. These two deserve the best, and I hope that this will be the best for them. Now, this is the public engagement. But how about a secret wedding, one that I just found out while putting this show together? I'm not even kidding, because while looking up a certain thing about a wedding, this popped up. You know who that is, right? That's Finn Balor. Finn Balor, while taking a break from WWE after his defeat at the hands of The Fiend, got married to his girlfriend. Congrats, man. That is great. So, he doesn't seem to be feeling any ill effects of The Fiend, or he got nursed back to health by the person he cared about most. Congratulations, Finn Balor. I'm very happy for you. And who knows? Maybe we'll get to hear more interesting things about what the wedding was like. Because honestly, I just found out about this, and I think that's great. You know, maybe, I don't even know, I think would their marriage have been in Ireland? I'd imagine. Regardless, moving on, because great news. And now I don't know what to make of this one, because we are currently having something called the King of the Ring Tournament. I'll let you take a look at the brackets here. So, current brackets stand, because this is just a little outdated, because we know the matches, we know all the quarterfinal matches. Yeah, quarterfinal. So, the matchups go. Samoa Joe versus Ricochet, and Cedric Alexander versus Baron Corbin on the Raw side. And on the SmackDown side, we have Elias versus Mustafa Ali, and Chad Gable versus Andrade Cien Almas. They're great names. Whatever. So, I'm going to list off the people who lost. Cesaro. Cesaro lost to Samoa Joe, which I completely understand because Cesaro went over to NXT UK for a little bit, which is great. He's going to have great time there, and everyone's going to be happy to see him. Drew McIntyre lost to Ricochet. I'm happy Ricochet won. What are they doing with Drew? Literally, he has been on nothing but a downward spiral since the whole no more authority figures on Raw or SmackDown thing. When they try to reboot everything, he's literally gone nowhere except down. Next up, Sami Zayn lost to Cedric Alexander, which I'm not surprised. They really gave up on Sami a while ago. He's literally their mid-card of mid-cards. He's currently having it looks like a managerial role with Shinsuke Nakamura, who is currently the Intercontinental Champion. So at least he has something to do while Kevin Owens is a babyface. At least, right? All right, next up, The Miz. The Miz lost to Baron Corbin. That's not a surprise. In all honesty, I get the feeling Miz is just happy being where he is. He doesn't really want to do anything else. Now that he has 2 children, he's more than comfortable just coasting, which is a bit of a shame. But, you know, his prime was great. I feel we're moving past it a bit. Not saying anything about his skill, because he's still great in the ring. I just feel that the spotlight is probably moving past him a little bit. And it wouldn't surprise me if he were to retire within a few years. It wouldn't. Next up, Kevin Owens lost to Elias. This is furthering the Kevin Owens and Shane McMahon storyline, so that's not a surprise. I'm skipping that name. I'm leaving it last. Shelton Benjamin lost to Chad Gable. Honestly, that's a throwaway match. I wouldn't expect either of them to get beyond the quarterfinal anyway. Chad Gable is literally nothing. To the point, when I last saw him and his new haircut, I had no idea who the hell that was. Shelton Benjamin, I guess he's just there for the paycheck now because they don't want him to do anything. Apollo Crews lost to Andrade Cien Almas, which, okay, that's perfectly fine. No one expected Apollo Crews to get far anyway. Andrade is an actual contender for maybe winning King of the Ring, though doubtful. Now for the last name I jumped over, because this guy was actually having great match after great match. He was getting pushed heavily, even though he wasn't apparently intended to. Buddy Murphy lost to Mustafa Ali, which is great. Mustafa Ali is getting pushed. That's fine. What the hell are they doing with Buddy Murphy now? Buddy Murphy actually had momentum. He had what people are calling the best TV match of the year in all of WWE. On TV, best match of the year with Roman Reigns. And then they actually let him win against Daniel Bryan, which is a huge surprise. There's real momentum behind Buddy Murphy. People really love his style, and then he lost here. Now, I might be jumping the gun. I might be freaking out about this a bit too much, because again, Mustafa Ali had momentum before also, and they probably still want to push him. He's beaten Daniel Bryan too. So maybe I'm jumping the gun on this. I just really don't want Buddy Murphy to fall down on the card, because I really see a lot of potential with him. Obviously, do you remember his Cruiserweight Championship run? All right. Now, as for what I think is going to happen, I believe Ricochet is going to beat Samoa Joe. I believe that Baron Corbin is going to beat Cedric Alexander. I believe that Mustafa Ali will beat Elias, and Andrade Cien Almas will beat Chad Gable, because, of course. So that leaves Ricochet versus Corbin and Ali versus Andrade. Ready for my pessimism? I believe Ali's going to beat Andrade and Baron Corbin's going to beat Ricochet. And I'm terrified of it, I honestly believe this is going to be our result in the end. Bum, bum, bum. Ba-da-da-da-da-da-da. Yep. I honestly believe the Baron will become the king. Why? Here's why. WWE honestly believes that he's a good heel. They gave him the final match with Kurt Angle. They let him have a Universal Championship feud with Seth, and they love the fact that he is, what was it, a bare knuckles champion of some kind, of something like that, before he joined WWE. They like that idea. And a Baron to become king is good play on words. Why not, right? Why not? Anyway, moving on. Not exactly stuff I want to relive thinking about. We did have a return. And that would be a Miss Sasha Banks in her blue hair now, being all heel, and currently destroying Natalya to get under the skin of Becky Lynch. This looks so weird. Let's try it that way. So, Sasha Banks has returned to the WWE after being gone for months, after needing to take a break after what happened with her WrestleMania match where she lost the tag team championship, the women's tag team titles, which, you know, at least they're finally getting defended again by Nikki Cross and Alexa Bliss. And while Bayley went over to SmackDown, became Miss Money in the Bank, and actually won the belt on that very night, Sasha had nothing. She went to New Japan. She hung out there for a bit. People were wondering if she was going to come back at all, or maybe go to AEW. She came back, immediately turned heel, destroyed Natalya, and now is on a true collision course with Becky Lynch, which I think is great. It's still weird to do that. There we go. All right, so by doing this, that means our top 4 individuals in the women's wrestling division currently will be Bayley, Charlotte, Becky Lynch, and Sasha Banks, the 4 horsewomen still around. Now, that's great, and I would be like, yeah, and Survivor Series is coming up, and all this stuff can happen, and then we can have our 4 horsewomen versus 4 horsewomen, and then Ronda Rousey shows what she did to her finger. Oh, God. So, yeah, I think that might be at the table waiting a bit. I still think that match is going to happen. Just probably going to take longer. So, instead, we're going to have Sasha being as heelish as possible, destroying Natalya, just being an utter... which is great. Do you remember the last time we had to heel Sasha Banks? People were enthralled. People loved her being around. Granted, that's because they remember her from NXT. The true heel Sasha is NXT Sasha. Don't get mingled with the team bad stuff. They were just happy she was finally called up. But we're going to get to see the legit boss being the legit boss, as opposed to being, you know, I'm just happy to be here. I'm being the first to do this and the first to do that. I'm going to be like, there's a reason I was the first to do this and that, and that's because I'm better than you and I'm going to show it. I would not be opposed to Sasha taking the belt away from Becky through nefarious means because she feels she is owed it. I am not opposed to that. There were very few women I would have been okay with taking the belt off of Lynch right now. She can. Which is very good to say, that there feels like there's actually some real competition for Becky Lynch. Now, I left this for last because it's me. Anyone who's watched my stuff knows how I feel about this guy. Hello, The Fiend, Bray Wyatt. Now, what do I have to talk about him? To be perfectly honest, there's not much to talk about. he had his match at SummerSlam. I strongly urge you to watch my thoughts on that match. Strongly urge you. I even more strongly do I urge you to go see that match with Finn Balor. The Fiend purified him so much Finn got married. But after that, he wasn't seen all week. And then he showed up to attack Jerry Lawler. And then he wasn't really seen much after that. And I'm okay with it. The lack of the Fiend adds to the mystique of the Fiend. I'm literally looking at this like next Undertaker stuff. It is okay not to be around because every time you are, something great happens. Now, the real reason I'm bringing him up is because of the rumors that he might be getting a Universal title shot, which would be amazing. Again, I'd be okay with Seth losing the belt to Bray Wyatt as the Fiend. But I feel it might be too soon. I want this to build. I want people to come in expecting that they could do something and then falling. Not even falling short, but just falling to the Fiend. And the thought of Seth taking on the Fiend and Seth losing, Fiend winning the belt is great, but I want the mystique to build a little more. I know we don't have a lot of time. We don't. We really don't. I'd say wait till Royal Rumble. If you really want to push the belt onto the Fiend, wait till the Royal Rumble. Wait till the Royal Rumble. Have the Fiend win. And have on the Titantron Finn Balor as the Demon. Which leads to... Or have him win and have Finn Balor win the Royal Rumble. You have him win the Royal Rumble, or you could have Finn appear as the Demon on the next episode of Raw. You get that building. I want that WrestleMania Fiend versus Demon. I demand it. Might not happen, but ooh, that's such a teasing idea. Those are my thoughts there. I do have one other thing I would like to bring up, and it's, again, another thing I forgot to grab a picture for, and that is the talk of AJ's retirement. He has not retired, but he said that this contract he has with WWE is his last. He knew this was coming for a while. He did not intend to keep wrestling for long. He wants to be with his family. What did you expect? He's not going to be like a Hulk Hogan. You know, he's not gonna be like, I need to stay on top, therefore I need to do it. He's always been the family guy first. You know, the talk of AJ, being that shining star of independent wrestling, I honestly don't think that was ever his intention. I think it was a very good benefit, which definitely kept all eyes on him. But in his own eyes, I honestly think his entire goal was always WWE. Stability. Financial stability for his family. You keep building your name up until the offer that WWE gives you is too good to refuse. I honestly believe that's what he was doing. Honing his craft, building the legend behind his name until WWE said, you win, look at everything we're giving you. And AJ goes, you got me. I can be safe now, which means I don't have to go trying to kill myself for the crowd. The crowd will understand, which they do. They still love AJ matches. And again, the touring schedule is going to kill you, but he's already had like a set time frame that he wanted to do this. So the fact that AJ has already said that he's not going to be going to anywhere else, WWE is it, and it will be sooner than later. I'm not surprised. I would have been surprised if he said differently. He could come back for 1 or 2 matches. You know, he would. You know, it's not going to kill him to do that. Just be prepared, people. AJ's not going to be around forever. Unlike The Undertaker, who apparently just can't stay down. All right. Told you. 2 weeks worth. There's a lot to talk about. Whew. So, trust me, I did not touch on everything. Trust me on that. Ugh. So, thank you everyone for tuning in. I'm looking forward to Clash of Champions. I hope you are too. It is coming up sooner or later. Check me in 2 weeks. I'll give you a rundown of everything you need to know again. Unless something big comes up, and then I will be back Friday. If something big comes up, I will be here. If not, 2 weeks. But until then, be connected, get connected, and stay connected. Play me out, or I will play myself out.
I've heard it too many times to ignore it. It's something that I'm supposed to be. Someday we'll find it, the restful connection, the lovers, the dreamers, and me.
Oh, yeah!